Congressman Mike Quigley. He's a Democrat from Illinois who sits on the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, I think it's useful for our viewers to understand that they may not like some of you in Congress. They may not think you're all that effective. But Intelligence Committee, the chairman and the ranking member have clearance that is very close to that of the President of the United States. They get real intelligence information.
Well, I think that's absolutely true. I mean, the committee as a whole gets information that most congressmen simply do not get. And the ranking and the chairman of the Gang of Eight, they get information first, and they get a little more than we do. So that's certainly the case.
All right. And you have certain responsibilities with that information. One of them is secrecy. And I guess you get trained on this, and you're told what you can and cannot say. And the other one is methodology, what you do when you get intelligence information. That's where this comes into question, what the chairman did when he got information that may or may not have been salient to things that you're investigating.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my first concern was that this wasn't shared with the committee as a whole. Typically what happens is we get briefed by the intelligence community 2 or 3 times a week. That's what happens. We all get briefed at the same time. We're allowed to ask as many questions as we want. And we use it, we synthesize that information to understand policy as a whole. What didn't take place was that wasn't shared. And unfortunately, the chairman chose to go to the White House, which is particularly concerning given Director Comey just this week announcing that there is an investigation into the Russian probe taking place with the very same White House that we're talking about. So if this is going to be a detached, bipartisan, credible investigation, you simply don't go to those who are the subject of the investigation and tell them something like this.
Yeah, I'm not on any intelligence committee. I sort of figured that out just from watching TV shows on spies and things like that. Listen to what John McCain said to Matt Lauer on the Today Show this morning.
I've not seen anything like it, and it's very disturbing. That's the reason why we need a select committee to clear this whole issue up. And by the way, intelligence committees and armed services committees always work in a bipartisan fashion, and I'm sorry to see what's happened over there.
Okay, so let me ask this a couple ways. Do you think Chairman Nunes should step down? Do you think the House Intelligence Committee can work in a bipartisan fashion? And do you think this investigation should now move to either a select committee or an independent investigator?
Well, let me start with the last one first. I think that different committees have different strengths. As we've discussed, the fact that the Intel Committee works in a top-secret fashion, we're able to review materials that otherwise would not be available. Can the committee work in a bipartisan fashion? It always has before this. Particularly Chairman Nunes, prior to the Trump White House, was particularly fair in terms of how he ran the committee. What's taken place since then is disturbing and frustrating beyond comprehension. That has to end. So I think the discussion today was one of saying, look, we have to reboot. We have to follow the facts wherever they are. The American public has a right to know wherever they lead us. What took place in the last few days simply can't happen again. But do I think the committee can work in a bipartisan fashion? It always has. I'm hoping that this is a horrible bump in the road and we can continue this investigation, beginning with the next hearing next Tuesday.
Congressman, good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us, Congressman Mike Quigley of Illinois. I want to bring in MSNBC's chief